Hey, this is Doc Yates, and today I want to talk about bloating in perimenopause. You're in perimenopause and you're wondering, why are you looking like you're 4 months pregnant? So this is a very common concern that I get from clients all the time. They want to know, okay, I'm in my 40s. Why do I have this meno belly? Why is this starting? This is so frustrating. And the thing is, there's a lot of solutions that we want to address, but there's a lot of different factors that can play a role in your bloating, and we have to go through all of them today. So we're going to go through the top 6 factors that can play a role in bloating, and then how do you address each of those factors? Because the fact is, if you go to your medical doctor about this, they're like, oh, bloating, therefore we're going to give you a proton pump inhibitor like Nexium or something along those lines, and then that's pretty much the only tool in the tool bag, which in many of these cases is either going to have no effect or it's going to make it worse, which is what we don't want. So let's get to the root cause of your bloating and get that fixed. So if you're in perimenopause and the bloating is kind of your entire torso, it's not affected by eating. I see that a lot of times in cases where there's estrogen dominance or too much estrogen for that person. This can be determined with a simple test. You can get that checked. And if that's the case, the solution is diet plays a big role with that. But there's a supplement that you can use. We use one that's called hormone balance or estrodom effects. You can take that. It helps your body detoxify these excess estrogen metabolites, and you see the bloat go away. Number 2, when you get the excess bloating and it's kind of lower abdomen just above your pubic bone and you're in perimenopause, that I commonly see with too low of progesterone. So in that situation, to balance it out, check the levels. You get a progesterone cream, put it on your forearm before you go to bed, and done. You'll see that bloating go away. The third type of bloating is when your lower abdomen, but it's all the way up to your belly button. And if you're not having regular bowel movements, that's kind of the cause of the third type of bloating, is that constipation. A lot of people do not know that you're supposed to go to the bathroom every day. And you are. You don't need to go after every meal. You don't have to go 3 or 4 times a day. But you definitely need to go to the bathroom daily. And if you're not, and you're getting this lower abdominal bloating, the solution is to make sure you're having regular bowel movements. And we'll do another talk on what are the steps you need to do to ensure you're having regular bowel movements. The fourth point, the entire abdomen kind of gets bloated. You wake up, you've got your flat stomach, and then as the day goes on, by the time it's the afternoon, you look like you're 4 months pregnant. That is a digestive issue, and I see that improve when you put someone on a lower carb diet, and then I give them something called bitters. So what happens is that as your digestion gets weaker and there's too much sugars coming into your diet, instead of those sugars and carbs digesting, it's almost like they're fermenting and they're producing gas. So you pull back on the carbs, you use the bitters formula, which has built-in antimicrobial herbs to it that kills off the problematic yeast, the problematic bacteria that's causing this fermentation. And you see that bloating with those 2 changes can go away within 3 to 7 days. The fifth type of bloating is upper abdominal bloating. For this bloating, you get the bloating. You often see people get a lot of excess burping, or sometimes they feel full really easily, or heartburn. That type of combination, and that bloating usually comes on fairly soon after eating. For that, the diet needs to be addressed as well. There's something that you're eating that's not working. Generally speaking, pulling back on grains makes a big difference for that. But the real trick for that one is, what I have found is that people that have very mild hiatus hernias. And the question I always get is like, well, my doctor already sent me in for a scope, and they scoped my stomach. They didn't see a hernia. It's because you're looking at the stomach from the inside. You can't tell where the position is from the outside. And I have found that these are generally very mild. So let's imagine that this is your diaphragm and this is your stomach sitting underneath it, and it's supposed to pass through. It just kind of gets pushed up ever so slightly. And there's a very simple maneuver where, as you exhale, someone just pushes in and pulls it back down. And honestly, every week I see cases of this type of bloating and heartburn and GERD and stuff all improve, and that feeling of fullness improve with just a couple adjustments on the stomach. It literally takes like 8 seconds. It's got to be one of the most easy things to work on. The other point, number 6, when you have the entire abdomen's bloated, but then you're also getting water retention and feeling stiff and everything as well. So it's almost like, feels like a full body feels bloated and puffy. This is where you want to get more into an anti-inflammatory diet. So pulling back on grains is part of an anti-inflammatory diet, but there's some other foods that go along with that, and we can discuss that further too. But it means If you're getting all this water retention, you're having more inflammation. If you're having more inflammation, the most important thing to do is address what you're eating, because something that you are eating is triggering that inflammation. So the last point is that you can have a combination of these. As I was going through these points, you'd be like, oh, that's totally me. No, oh, that one, point number 3 is totally me. You can have a combination. So you can be in perimenopause and you can have your progesterone dropping, you have too high of estrogen, plus you're having too much sugar. So you can see this combination, but you will recognize these patterns and you can still use these same suggestions and solutions to treat them. So to summarize, balance your hormones, lower your carbs and your grains, make sure you're having daily bowel movements, and if needed, you can add things like bitters and a stomach adjustment to get it corrected. So with all of this, you can see improvement with your bloating. I'm Doc Yates. I hope this was helpful, and I'm signing off.